हेलो एंड वेलकम एवरीवन, हाउ आर यू ऑल। फटाफट से मुझे थम्स अप दे दो वेदर एम आई परफेक्टली विजिबल एंड ऑडिबल टू यू ऑल। गुड इवनिंग। गुड इवनिंग पार्थ। फटाफट से और स्टूडेंट्स को ज्वाइन होने देते हैं, थोड़ी देर वेट कर लेते हैं। गुड इवनिंग सारण्या, गुड इवनिंग। एम आई परफेक्टली विजिबल एंड ऑडिबल? फटाफट से थम्स अप दे दो। Okay, so let us start with today's topic. Today's topics are basically Gujarat Uniform Civil Code Bill. So, Gujarat is the second state. Technically, it is third, but then there is some part of which Goa does not follow. So, yes, this is a second state. The first state कौन बताएगा मुझे फटाफट से कि किसने यूसीसी कर लिया है अपने आप को? Tell me फटाफट in the comment box, which is the first state to do so. Next would be transgender amendment bill that came in for 2026, and then we have Supreme Court on Sonam Wangchu detention. So you remember Three Idiots, right? Three Idiots main character Funsuk Wangru, the one that is Sonam Wangchu. So yeah, तो जो उसका डिटेंशन पूरा चल रहा था उसके ऊपर भी काफी सारी चीजें जो रीसेंट में हुई हैं, we'll be discussing that. सबने सारे फ्रेंड्स को लेके आओ यार गाइस, कहाँ है सारे फ्रेंड्स आप लोगों के? What is UCC? Basically, the UCC Uniform Civil Code is defined under which article? Tell me the article also. Article 44. So yes, Uniform Civil Code is basically where all the laws are similar. There is no, especially the personal laws. We don't follow any personal laws. All the laws would, all the things would be governed by one single code. So that is known as Uniform Civil Code. Means basically the marriage, divorces, inheritance, and live-in relationships all would be governed under one single code, right? So Article 44 actually states that a state shall endeavor to UCC. It is a directive principle of state policy, which secure UCC for citizens, right? And Article 14 is basically equality before law, and Article 15 is where there should not be any discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, and etc. Recently, this bill was passed on 24th of March, the Gujarat Legislative Assembly passed this bill, right, with a majority voice vote. There was a debate that also happened for at least 7 hours, and the bill was introduced by Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, who is from BJP party, right? Now, the first question that is that what exactly is Uniform Civil Code? That I've already told you that Uniform Civil Code is one common set of laws for all the citizens, regardless of their religion. Same rules for marriage, same rules for divorces, same rules for inheritance for a Hindu, for a Muslim, for a Christian, or for everyone, right? So there are n number of personal laws that we see. We have a Hindu Marriage Act, we have Muslim law. Okay, so we have different kind of acts for different religion, but now it would be governed under one single law. Okay, and there is one more state that is seriously that initially started with the UCC. That was a Goa, right? Goa was the first one in 1961 to had UCC, right? When it retained the Portuguese Civil Code, right? Um, there are few connections that we already talked about, and yeah. So, majorly, Gujarat UCC Bill 296 had certain key provisions, which include mandatory within marriage should be mandatory within 60 days of solemnization. Failure to do so would be penalty of 10,000 rupees. So, majorly, this is what still is applicable with respect to other places, right? This applied to all communities now that you have to go and register your marriage with respect to 60 days. Second is bigamy is banned, right? You cannot marry if you have a living spouse. So if a marriage is fraudulent or coercive, the punishment is imprisonment up to 7 years. This will effectively target practices like bigamy, polygamy. So if polygamy is basically poly means a lot, poly is a lot, and gamy means the marriage. So bigamy is two. Bi is two, right? So gamy is marriage again. So two marriages or polygamy matlab many marriages. We currently have monogamy that we follow, right? So mono is one, and then gamy is marriage again. Okay. Then third was that about live-in relationships that must be registered. This is a significant provision because live-in couples must register their relationships formally, and there should also a formal procedure for termination. Also, this is a major shift that we can see right now. Fourth is equal inheritance. Sons and daughters get equal succession rights. This directly addresses the provisions under Muslim personal law and some customary Hindu practices where daughters were given less. Fifth is court sanctioned divorce only. You cannot unilaterally dissolve a marriage. Divorce is only valid if granted by a court. This targets practices like instant triple talaq, though that was already struck down by a Supreme Court in 2017 in the Shaira Bano case, right? Sixth is scheduled tribes are exempted. This is very important for CLAT because here they have exempted totally to this scheduled tribe. Whatever their customary rights are there, they that shall be protected, and they would not come under UCC zone. This is why this is a political debate about it, because BJP, if it's saying about the diversity, why they have been selectively excluded, right? So, majorly, if you really want to see a shift of what we can see, this is a shift with respect to CLAT exam angle, that 1956 Hindu Code codify Hindu personal laws. In 1985 Shah case, Supreme Court advocates UCC. In 1995 Salla Mudgal versus Union of India, see Supreme Court reiterates UCC needs, right? And then we have 2017 Shaira Bano SC strikes down triple talaq. Feb 2024 Uttarakhand first state to enact UCC, and March 2026 we have Gujarat the second state to enact UCC, right? So you need to know Uttarakhand was the first state, and then second is what? Gujarat. Moving on, when we see the Transgender Amendment Bill 2026, Lok Sabha, it came into picture in 24th March and Rajya Sabha 25th March, right? Which basically amends the transgender persons protection of rights. We already discussed about it in the last class as well. Let's see what is the background and context. The 2019 Act gave transgender persons the right to self-identify their gender through an affidavit before the district magistrate, right? We discussed all this in the last class also, right? The 2026 amendment significantly changes this framework. Landmark precedent was Nalsa versus Union of India that we all know about, right? The Supreme Court recognized the third gender as their affirmed fundamental rights and Articles 14, 15, 19, and 21. So, what is the population right now? Roughly around 4.87 lakh of transgender persons, census 2011. Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment came into picture. Plus, what were the key changes in the 2026 amendment that we've already discussed, recognizes only socio-cultural identities such like Hijra, Kinnar, Aravani, Jukta, persons with intersex variations or persons coerced into transgender identity, trans men, non-binary, and self-identified trans women may fall outside this definition, right? Self-determination removed omit section 4.2 of the 2019. Anybody who will self-discriminate as determine themselves, that is removed. Now district magistrate issue certificate only after recommendation by a medical board. If there is no recommendation by medical board, the what they there would be nothing that could be done, right? Then stronger penal provisions, kidnapping, grievous hurt to force transgender identity is up to punished up to 10 years to life imprisonment plus 2 lakh of fine. And life and also it can go to life imprisonment plus 5 lakh of fine if there is a child victim, right? Coercion into begging and bonded labor will go for 5 to 10 years of imprisonment plus 1 lakh of fine. Medical board requirements, state medical board headed by CMO, DCMO must recommend before DM grants identity certificate. Critics all this medical gatekeeping that violates the right to privacy that was given in Puttaswamy versus Union of India in 2017, right? Next, transgender bill 2026 CLAT exam angle, if you really want to see, is where whatever was decided into NALSA versus Union of India is currently not there, right? Removes right to self-identification. Then there is a conflict with articles, right, 14, 15, 19, 21 of the Constitution. Then there is a medical gatekeeping violates that Puttaswamy case, right to privacy 2017. Then you have excludes trans men, non-binary, binary, and many self-identified trans persons. Passed without community consultation or standing committee review, right? Then there is NALSA versus Union of India that you should know of. Then you should know of Puttaswamy versus Union of India that came into 2017. The right to privacy is fundamental. 2019 is all about original law, self-ID via affidavit before DM. 2026 amendment, medical board required narrows definition. Then Article 14, equality before law, and Article 21, right to personal liberty. Then we can see Sonam Wangchuk's detention case that was recently in the news. Supreme Court disposes petition. So who is Sonam Wangchuk? Sonam Wangchuk is a Ladakh-based climate activist, engineer, and education reformer who is widely known as the inspiration behind the character Spunsuk Wangru in the Bollywood film Three Idiots, right? He has been vocal advocate for Ladakh statehood and its inclusion under the 6th schedule of the constitution, right? Now, Ladakh's core demands were full statehood for Ladakh. Ladakh is what right now? Tell me that Ladakh is a state or a union territory. Inclusion in the 6th schedule of the constitution, separate public service commissions for Ladakh, and Supreme Court, what did he do? He was there in the Jodhpur jail for 170 days, and the petitioner was Gitanjali J. Angmo, his wife, who claimed it for the habeas corpus, that is, free the body. So there are 5 writs. Please name them in the comment section, right? Disposed on 23rd March 2026, NSA detention revoked by MH on 14th March 2026 after 170 days in custody. So what is NSA? NSA is National Security Act 1980, which basically says all about preventive detention law. The person can be detained without trial for up to 12 months. Government need not close all grounds of detention. Also detained on 26th of September 2025 following lay protests that left 4 dead. Reasons were given for instigation in a sensitive border area, right? Now, habeas corpus is what it is given under Article 32 and 226 under Supreme Court and High Court. Latin, you shall have the body, writ that commands the detaining authority to produce the person before the court. It was filed by his wife, Gitanjali J. Angmo, before Supreme Court under Article 32, that he should be freed. Then argued that NSA grounds not properly supplied and detention was illegal, right? The Supreme Court said September 2026, 2025, Wang Chu detained under NSA, locked in Jodhpur jail. So he was detained, right? January 29, 2026, Wang Chu denies inciting overthrow of government in Supreme Court hearing. Earlier hearings, Supreme Court flags discrepancies in speech translation, asked Center to reconsider given health concerns. March 14, 2026, MHA revokes NSA detention, Wang Chu released after 170 days. March 2023, 2026, SC disposes petition, nothing left in matter in fructuous, right? So, Sonam Wangchu case, what is a CLAT angle? What is really important for us is NSA 1980, which is preventive detention, maximum 12 months without trial. Sixth schedule is special provision for tribal areas in northeastern India. Habeas corpus fundamental writ, Article 32, Article 226, High Court, and infructuous petition disposed when relief becomes moot. Article 2022 is protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. And no, nothing survives Supreme Court principle, no live cause of action closes proceedings, right? What is the sixth schedule? Constitution provisions for tribal autonomy specific. Northeastern state, why was petition disposed? Because there was detention that was revoked, matter become infructuous, right? Which bench disposed the petition? Justice Arvind Kumar and P.V. Varale. Who filed the habeas corpus petition? Dr. Gitanjali J. Angmo, his wife. Under which law was Wang Chu detained? NSA 1980 preventive detention. These are the three major highlights and all the three topics. You will get this slide on the Telegram channel of ours, that is CL-LST CLAT Institute. Go and find it on the channel as soon as the session gets over. You'll get it there. That is it from my end. I really hope you like the video and you'll read this finally, right? You don't have to go for a lot of so Saranya asked, ma'am, should we learn everything? You don't have to learn everything. You just know the why the major points that have been changed. Nothing more than that. You don't have to go and deep dive or start reading the act or the bill itself. You don't have to, right? So let's see how the things come into picture. CLAT aspirant 04, habeas corpus Q warrantum mandamus certiorari prohibition. Correct. That is a correct answer. Also, tell me under which of the articles it is given. It is really important. And under a High Court, for High Court, it is for Supreme Court. And for High Court, what is the article? Correct. Okay. You'll get this PPT on the Telegram channel. Go and find it out. And that is it from my end. Bye bye. Take care, students. Bye bye.